Everyone, how's your reading? Now, it's a funny thing about doing a video on a camera. You have to remember to flip it so that the camera is facing you, well, me, because I'm the one speaking. And if I didn't do that, then what you would get is my voice and whatever is behind the camera. And that is an almighty mess. So I'm so glad I remembered to hit the button to flip it before I press record, of course. So today I'm looking at a graphic novel. Yes, I know I don't read graphic novels. A lot of my friends know that too, because I read print, not art. But this is something I had to read for uni a few years ago, and it is a very moving story. Let me go back a bit. It is set in Iran. And why is it set in Iran? Because that's where the author was born, Marjane Satrapi. And I'm going to mangle this name, but I'm going to try. I actually have met someone one day who is Iranian. Beautiful, beautiful accent. Actually, she's a beautiful person, but just ignore that. And I asked her one day how this was pronounced. And I think she said Persepolis, I think. It's a long time ago, and I don't know what's happened to her. Anyway, so let me read a bit about this. Persepolis is Marjane Satrapi's memoir of growing up in Iran during the Islamic Revolution. In powerful black and white comic strip images, Satrapi tells the story of her life in Tehran from the ages of 6 to 14. Years that saw the overthrow of the Shah's regime, the triumph of the Islamic Revolution, and the devastating effects of war with Iraq. The intelligent and outspoken only child of committed Marxists, too many X and S's there for my tongue, and the great-granddaughter of one of Iran's last emperors, Marjane bears witness to a childhood uniquely entwined with the history of her country. Persepolis paints an unforgettable portrait of daily life in Iran and of the bewildering contradictions between home life and public life. Marjane's child's eye view of dethroned emperors, state-sanctioned whippings, and heroes of the revolution allows us to learn as she does the history of this fascinating country and of her own extraordinary family. Intensely personal, profoundly political, and wholly original. Persepolis is at once a story of growing up and a reminder of the human cost of war and political repression. It shows how we carry on with laughter and tears in the face of its absurdity. And finally, it introduces us to an irresistible little girl with whom we cannot help fall in love. So I have to agree with all of that, absolutely all of it. So she's actually a little bit younger than me. So when she's going through hell at school, because you can see in the book where things are not so good, I'm thinking of my sheltered life growing up in Melbourne, Australia, at about the same time. I mean, that's not to say that I had a really good childhood, but, in comparison with other places. So, here we are. This is very confronting, because they're children in the school ground, I think, and they are learning how to play with guns and learning how to be revolutionaries. No, I lied. I should read the print first. It says, "We demonstrated in the garden of our house." So, she's very young, and while she's there, she goes from being a little girl, being able to be a little girl, to going to school and having to wear there's a name for it, hijab. I read this and I do not remember the name. I have been told the name of whatever that is they wear that I think in this, they might have been allowed to show their face, but everything else was covered. I have seen other people with everything covered, and all you can see is this little tiny gap. And you can see she's what she's wearing there. I'll have a go at finding a page where she's actually at school and all of a sudden she's segregated from the boys. I think I need to go forward, not backwards. So basically everything falls apart and she ends up having to leave the country. So here we go. I think her father used to take photos and he was arrested. Photos were strictly forbidden, so he was arrested and escaped. Okay. So I'm not going to bore you with me looking for this page, but essentially it was pretty confronting to all of a sudden be looking at kids in the playground and they're wearing these garments. Anyway, I promise you I'm not reading this while I flip. I mean, yes, there's enough on every page that it would take me a moment to read each page, but I promise you I'm not reading. Scarf. We won't wear your silly scarves. Okay, and then they ended up wearing the scarves. So here we go. So this is one where she's at school with two of her classmates, both female. And it says, I knew fighter pilots. My friend Pardis's father was one. So that's that square. And this next one says, she never told me her father was in prison, although last year she didn't come to school for a whole month. So they've got this. Someone please put in the comments what the word for this garment is, please. It probably won't help me remember, but at least it'll be there for everyone else. So that's the garments that they're wearing at school. So this is where she's heard about her friend Pardis's father is a fighter pilot, and that's where he's in. We show he's in prison, and she's not at school for a month. And here we are, 2 whole pages in the garments. But at least they've got their faces showing. Excuse me. No, I'm not. Oh, I didn't remember. Don't remember seeing that before. Supermarkets were empty. So this has got nothing to do with COVID, but the supermarket shelves are empty because of the war. Produce is not getting through. And here she is at home not having to wear the garment. Anyway, so it is beautifully done. I was feeling a bit wrecked after reading this, knowing that she's roughly the same age as me. And 18. I'm 18. You should know that by now. And just comparing her life with mine and how I was in comfort and safety. Yes, there was teasing. There may have been a bit of anti-Semitism. I think in primary school, the kids tried to tell me that I'd killed Jesus. I wasn't around 2,000 years ago when he was dead. I'm not that old. But anyway, that is the worst I had to cope with. Just a little bit of anti-Semitism, a little bit of teasing. And she went through a war, not knowing if her father was going to come home, not knowing if they would have to leave, having to be ready to run out the door and leave Iran at a moment's notice. And eventually they did. I think she ended up in Canada. Where she studied. Okay, so in Tehran, she studied at the Lycée Français before leaving for Vienna and then Strasbourg. So, not Canada. Unless there's Canada in there and it's just not part of this. So there's lots of people to thank here. And I'm not going to say them all because I will mangle them. But great book. Definitely suggest reading it if you can. I think it makes 2 graphic novels I've read from cover to cover. This one and Mouse. Mouse. M-A-U-S. I've just had a blank. Do I have it here so I can look up his name? Yes. Mouse by Art Spiegelman. So that's 2 graphic novels. It's interesting, though, how both graphic novels are based on war. This one in Iran and Mouse in Germany. I would suggest I go the extra mile to read a graphic novel in, well, ignore the fact that I had to read them both for uni. I would go the extra mile for something like that. Anyway, that's all for tonight. I will see you on the flip side. Subscribe down below or don't, as you choose. I'm not going to tell you what to do. And I'll talk to you another time. Bye.